one has other obligations. So the agenda will go as follows. The welcome introductions, updating some events will be Rebecca and myself. We're the state chairs. Government relations will be Wendell Scales. Driving workshops is Whitney Smotherman. And our keynote speaker is Matthew Carpenter. And final remarks, SAI leadership. So I am Nicole.Griffin. I am college and career readiness counselor at Estem high schools. I've been in education for 21 years. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, currently reside in Bryant, mother to one, and I am happy to be one of the state chairs. You're muted, Rebecca.
Sorry, my name is Rebekah.Bailey, and I teach college and career readiness here at Little Rock School District's one of our newer high schools. We're a small high school. We have right now about 300 students, but there is a building being built right now, and in a couple of years will be 12 to 1,600 students. And we're a school of innovation, and we're brand new. We just graduated our first class last year, and we're excited about all the growth, and I'm very excited to be a part of this.
All right, so who is SACAC? We are the Southern Association College Admissions Counseling. We support counselors. We network with one another, different professionals, and we basically promote excellence for all students, post-secondary educational goals. We help with financial aid. We help with admissions. And SACAC is a regional affiliate of NACAC. And it includes 9 states. The Caribbean memberships run from September the 1st through August 31st. So if you want to become a member, it's only $45. And we're going to tell you about a couple of our upcoming events.
So some of our upcoming events, we have our Sweet Tea Tour. This is a 5-day tour. It's usually hosted in June. The locations rotate. I think this year they're looking at doing some Mississippi colleges, and participants are responsible for travel to and from starting ending location of the tour, and they're required to travel with the group on the tour bus and stay in campus lodging. So this is for students that are wanting to tour some colleges. They'll get the campus experience by staying on campus and touring the different campuses, and they all kind of go from a tour bus and they go from place to place. This is a 5-day tour. Last year, the cost was $600 for members, $650 for non-members. They haven't announced the cost for this year. Then we also have the annual conference, which the theme this year is Forward Together. This event also includes opportunities for post-conference college tours, optional wellness and athletic programming, networking college fair, local public high school counselor day, post-conference sessions. This year, it's going to be in the Raleigh Convention Center in Raleigh, North Carolina, March 24th through 25th. But then they'll be having some activities before then on March 23rd, and then afterwards on March 26th as well. The host hotel is going to be the Marriott Raleigh City. Raleigh City Center, and the room rate is about $212. Local Public High School Counselor Day will be held on Sunday, March 24th. You can go to the website for a lot more details, and as it gets closer to that time, they'll be posting updated details as well. And the theme this year is Forward Together. Also, the Counselor Participation Fund. So pretty excited about this. You can click on the link to get a lot more information and a lot more details. But this is basically financial assistance to attend SACAC events, like the Sweet Tea Tour that we just talked about in the annual conference. And then Nicole's going to be talking about summer seminar and dry run. But if you click on this link, it will take you to registration where you can apply for financial assistance to attend these events. The deadline is November 3rd, so it's coming up pretty soon. So if you want to apply for it, just click on that link.
Thank you, Rebecca. So training for new or nearly new professionals. So for sake of time, I'm going to kind of speed through these because I don't want to run over our keynote speaker's time. He also has a meeting after this. So we have a couple other events, the summer seminar, which is a 4-day workshop hosted on the college campus in June. More information is coming soon. You can click on the QR code. We also have the dry run, which is a 4-day workshop for new or nearly new admissions professionals working at a college or university. And then for students, parents, and school counselors, college admission workshops, there's free, keyword, it's free, interactive, and informative college planning workshops designed for high school students who are underrepresented and underserved populations. So these are some really cool events that you all can be a part of. Again, you can scan the QR code for more information. And to join again is $45, and your membership is September 1st through August 31st. Everything that we talked about can be found on sacact.org. All right, and I will pass it over to government relations. We have Wendell Scales and Steve Cooley. Did I pronounce that right, Steve?
Steve Colley.
Colley, which are our state chairs for government relations.
All right. Well, I guess I'll start off. Wendell. Oh, I see Wendell there. Okay. Yeah. So Wendell and I have been working with the SACAT government relations folks to try to organize an event next year at the state capitol to discuss college access issues with various local stakeholders, as well as counselors across the state that can make it. It's an opportunity for folks like us to be able to understand the legislative process, how we can get involved in advocating for college access issues, a lot of the SACAC and NACAC priorities. And we're in the works right now. We're trying to plan this out, and we've penciled in April 17th of next year. And we'd love folks to come join us for that in-person event that we're working on. And Wendell, do you want to add more to that?
Yeah, sure. I think, for those who know me, collaboration is key. We've already pinned a date, and we're just trying to backwards work. I'm tied to some local folks in government affairs here, and I'm gonna start communicating with them the date and seeing if they're able to connect us with some of their contacts as well, so we can have a great day, a great session. So if there are any organizations, nonprofits, things of that nature that are advocates of youth that we don't have at the table, let us know. I think the work that you all are doing is very important as well. So just, I think, making sure that we are not double working and we support each other from state area to government affairs to make this a successful event.
Yeah, and I'll just add real quick to that. We'll probably later this year or early next year, we'll definitely send out more information about this and how you can get involved. And as we get closer to the date, we'll send out the logistics for it and invites. So so if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to either myself or Wendell, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll put my email in the chat. That way, if anyone has any questions, or my phone number, I'm pretty easy to connect with. I see you, Whitney. Whitney, good to see you. It's been a while. Ms. Griffin, it's good to see you as well. And for anybody else on the call, I stay out with travel, but I will take a call. We'll get on the email. Steve has been great to collaborate with, so we're just trying to figure it out together. This is actually my third go about of it. I took on this role, me and Jeremy Dickerson did during COVID. So everything has been virtual until this year. So I'm excited that we can have something in person. Again, if y'all have any contacts that we need to connect with on our side, please share them. And, I don't mind kicking around an email and putting y'all on the thread so we can all kind of be a part of it as we try to make a successful event.
Thank you, Wendell and Steve, so much for the information. I would love to be included on all of the above.
Okay.
I'm sure Rebecca feels the same way. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have our drive-in workshops with the beautiful Whitney Smotherman.
All right. Hi, everyone. So yes, my name is Whitney Smotherman. I am the college counselor at Mount St. Mary Academy in Little Rock. But I'm here today as one of the co-chairs for our annual drive-in workshop. So we want to save the date. We have our date plugged in for Thursday, February 29th. That will be a virtual event. So hopefully that really opens up access to the whole state of everyone to be able to tune in. And each year we are able to offer at least one, if not two, continuing education credits with this workshop attendance. So we're looking to have some great content and really make it worth your time to earn those hours. So we are in the process of locking in those sessions, but we are still looking for at least one more session. So some of the topics that have been brainstormed amongst some counselors are self-preservation, balancing work and life, and then the learn to act. So we want to make sure that this workshop is something that's going to benefit you and the topics are of your interest. So if y'all have anything, please feel free if you want to drop it in the chat now. I can collect that. Also, I'll put my email in the chat so that way if you think of something, please save my email and shoot those my way, hopefully within the next week or so we can line up the great presenters that have that knowledge base that can come and help share their expertise. So that's about it. So just once again, Thursday, February 29th, it will be virtual and it'll be in the morning. Usually we go about between 9 and 11. So that's all on the workshop.
Hey, Whitney, let's talk. I wouldn't mind. I think that could be a way for us to get in front of some of this, put government relations on it. We can talk about what is government relations. That way we're not missed. Again, our job is to support state area. So if this is a way we can get in front of some other counselors and prime ourselves for the in-person opportunity, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds great. And then I guess, request for everyone. So of course, we send this workshop invitation out to the state membership of SACAC. As we all know, we are looking to grow that membership. So whenever that save the date gets shared with you all, if you could also push that out to your other members in your circle, so that way we can just kind of keep folding in and get great information and expand our networking circles. We'd really appreciate that.
Sorry, Steve, I gave us some word.
No, it's all good.
Thank you so much, Whitney. I know that Rebecca and I wouldn't mind assisting as well. As from the high school perspective, we need you. The more information, the better, to make our lives easier. You too, Wendell and Steve. So thank you so much for what you do. All right, without further ado, our keynote speaker is Matthew Carpenter. He's the co-founder and chief strategy officer of College Aid Pro. Matthew, you do have sharing privileges. Would you like for me to stop sharing at this time?
Yeah, sure. If you wouldn't mind, that's cool. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't bring those shades. That's a hilarious picture. And I didn't even know that was my title, to be honest, the chief strategy officer. I wonder where that.
I found you on LinkedIn.
Oh, all right. I better. Maybe I made that up. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for having me. Matt Carpenter. I'm up actually in just north of Boston. Our office is in we're very spread out geographically. We're represented in most states, but our kind of corporate headquarters, which is giving it too much credit, is up here. I'm in the Halloween capital of the world, Salem, Mass. If you ever make it up to Boston, and you're here for enough days, go out of your way to make it to Salem. It's a really cool little city, especially this time of year. Place is buzzing. So just a little bit about myself. I'm from this area originally. Grew up on what we call the North Shore up here, and in Boston. Went to school here locally. I'm the oldest of 3 kids. Had 2 great parents, but they didn't know what the hell they were doing when it comes to all things college. I think like most parents, right? And that was 20 years ago. or more than 20 years ago now. But and as an end result, right, I had an amazing experience, but kind of woke up after college and was like, oh my goodness, that seems like a lot of money I have to pay back. And then of course my parents were saying the same thing, and I look around the room, all my buddies are saying the same thing, and that was kind of the origin story where I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this, and that was kind of the genesis of our company. And now we partner with high schools, hundreds of high schools across the country, trying to give school counselors resources to ultimately get in front of students and families and just provide education and tools and so people can make informed decisions, right, to the extent and control what they can control, understand what they can't control, and have good end results, right? Something that we say every day is that, you can go have an amazing experience, graduate with amazing opportunities. That doesn't have to cost $90,000 a year. And maybe you guys can relate to this, but something that we work really hard to do, I think, especially in underserved communities and with households that don't have a lot of resources, help them understand that that doesn't mean you can't attend an amazing college that on the surface appears to be out of your price range, right? I'm thinking specifically for, really driven, talented kids that don't come from a lot in terms of, again, income and resources. And so they don't even bother applying to Emory because they say that's $90,000. There's not a world in which we could ever do that, having no idea that that could be more affordable than University of Arkansas, right? Which is, I'm sure, a challenge you guys run into on the front line. So there's just some of our biggest victories ever when these kids that end up being like, oh my goodness, this is, and everybody kind of gets it and whatever. But we know there's so many more that don't even make the attempt because of the knowledge that they have, because it's confusing, it's counterintuitive, the whole deal. So anyways, that's a little bit about us. Please seek us out. Again, I think you guys have impossible job descriptions, and usually the caseloads are so high. I think a lot of you, in addition to doing the college stuff, which is probably your favorite stuff, are having to deal with other stuff, right? I don't need to tell you, but anyways, we want to be an extension of you all. We want to help be a resource for you all, whether you're sending families to us to get their questions answered, and or asking yourselves, right, for anything that feels like it's a little bit beyond your scope. So before I cut out, which will probably be 10 of ish, I'll tell you a little bit specifically about how we work with high schools to give you an idea of what that looks like. I'll make sure that, by the way, let me just put my email in the chat here, so anybody can feel welcome to reach out to me directly, and then I'll put my scheduling link as well. I'll try to remember to put this at the end here too. If you just want to get on my calendar, tell me about your school, learn more about what we do, and see if we can help support you guys in any way. Please ask questions here, right? I'm here obviously to coach you guys up on these FAFSA changes. Please ask questions. I'd like to think that I can be a great resource for you. So anytime, whether you want to just put it in the chat or just come on here, shout it out, it doesn't matter. Right. FAFSA changes is very boring stuff, guys. So help yourselves out and ask whatever questions that you have. Okay, let me just share my screen if I could, if it allows me. We go here. I only have about 75 tabs and pages open. Let's see if I can find the appropriate ones here. Wrong. Tough start, guys. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, that's our mission, right? College Aid Pro, to end the student debt crisis. And we think that, we're the tip of the spear. That's what I always tell college counselors, like, that's going to happen when we get families educated, make good decisions on the front end, is how we prevent it from being in a bad position on the back end, right? Having these really tough end results. So first of all, obviously everybody knows this is the year, class 2024, for FAFSA changes. When's the FAFSA going to become available? December is the latest intel we have. Little birdies are telling us, everybody, it's more likely to be January. So again, that's a little inside baseball, and we'll see. But if I'm a betting man, which I am, I'm putting money on January. So again, we'll see. We'll see. That is obviously not official. we have a pulse on it every single day, literally. So, we will let you know when we know. I want to start with kind of the headlines, and I'll end here too, and then we'll get into some more granular in the weeds, nitty gritty stuff. But these are really the headlines, and let's start with the good, and then we'll kind of come back and talk about the challenges and really the bad for some of this stuff. But number 5, again, to me, is the headline, and I think what universally we're all completely stoked about. And that's the fact that for the families and the students that have the least amount of resources, they're getting more help in multiple ways, right? One of them is just dollar amounts, right? The Pell Grant is going up. The threshold to be eligible for the Pell Grant is going up, right? That cutoff, it still is too low, but again, we're moving in the right direction. So again, more families are going to be eligible, and we're going to be eligible for more actual dollar amounts. And then actually navigating this FAFSA and the process itself is getting easier, right? Like, one of the most heartbreaking statistics that we found, and this was a study that we did in collaboration with the Gates Foundation, is about 2/3 of low-income families started the FAFSA and didn't finish it, right? Which is really heartbreaking, right? Because, as we all know, that means that they're getting zero financial aid. So they're either not getting any discounts or they're not going to college, right? And because especially if there's a language barrier, they're first gen students, or maybe they're a student, they're a 17, 18-year-old kid trying to complete this on their own. And it's just too sophisticated, too overwhelming, and it doesn't get done. So it looks like we've got a sneak peek at this year's FAFSA, and it looks like it is going to deliver on being a much easier experience. The questions are being reduced drastically. So knock on wood, this wait, will be worth it, in that more people would be able to get across the finish line. Other couple, these aren't necessarily headlines, but 6 and 7, it used to be that if we had a 529 account, if we had the savings in this, the most popular investment vehicle in saving for college, if we had savings in a younger student's name, right? So I got 3 kids, right? Or I don't, I have 1 daughter, but for example, if I had 3 kids, okay, and I had a senior in high school, a 7th grader and a 5th grader, if I had a 529 savings for my 5th grader and the 7th grader, it would negatively impact financial aid eligibility for my senior, which is kind of a ridiculous rule. That's gone away. Okay, so we're not going to get punished for savings we have in the younger kid's name. There's also some strategies that opens up as well, because it's very easy to transfer 529 ownership, and you're completely within the real rules of the game. The other one here is that if we contributed to a 401k, or for most of you guys, maybe you have a 403b at work, or 457, any contributions you made towards those were treated as untaxed income, basically negatively impacted your eligibility for need-based financial aid. We're not being punished for that anymore. So if you have the ability to contribute more to retirement, do it. It's going to reduce your taxable income, and it's not going to hurt your financial aid eligibility. So that's a nice one. Switching gears here, going to the top of the page, and again, we'll kind of get into a little bit more granular here, but these are what I think, at least in some ways, are going to be the negative changes. And I think it's these types of families that are essentially funding the program for the lower income families. It's not going to be coming out of the federal government or Department of Education's wallet. It's going to be coming out of these first 4 bullet points, these families. Divorce separated families. It used to be the family that, and this is a huge one. This is a huge one. It used to be that whoever the student lived with is who completed the or lived with the most, right? In split households, divorced or separated households, it used to be the custodial parent or parents, if they're remarried, that completed the FAFSA. That's gone. Okay. Now it is the parent that provides the most financial support to the student that completes the FAFSA. So huge difference. But if we play our cards right, this can be an opportunity for these families. I know the Department of Education is thinking, well, these people now are going to, on average, get less financial aid, because presumably the household that provides most financial support has the higher income, the higher assets, the one that's going to give that family the higher SAI. This is where families need to be strategic. And again, we need to coach families up on this to help them take advantage of what could be a great opportunity here. Again, if we play our cards right. But that's the new rule. You know, and I'm sure you heard this one. This is getting most headlines. Now it doesn't matter if you have more than one kid at college at once. They don't care. So whether you have multiples, whether you have twins, okay, or whether you have kids that are 2 years apart and they're going to overlap for 2 years, the formula used to account for that, that's gone. Okay, and it's nobody's grandfathered into this either, right? So there is going to be a huge amount of people that starting next year is going to get the rug ripped out from underneath them. You might have been getting a huge discount at a college because you had more than one kid in school. It's going away. Effectively, there's going to be a meaningful percentage of the population that the cost of college is going to double now because of this rule. Okay. And then business owners, right? Business owners, it used to be if we had less than 100 employees, we didn't have to report anything about our business on the FAFSA. That's gone. Okay, so small business owners, farmers, they are going to get smoked now if they don't handle this part of the FAFSA right. And most of these folks are not going to know how to handle this part of the FAFSA right. They're not going to know that they should still put down 0 for the value of their business because their business isn't liquid, right? For 99% of business owners. And they're going to overvalue their business. They're going to put just their assets. They're not going to put their liabilities. They're going to make mistakes, and it's going to kill them in terms of financial aid eligibility. And again, I think the Department of Education knows that, but that's going to help fund the program for others. So those are the headlines. And again, we can drill down into some of these. I said most of these here. This one is like the Department of Education made a big deal about this, right? We're not going to use the EFC anymore. And that's going to clear up everything, right? There's not going to be any more confusion. You know, who cares? But that's the new terminology, right? Instead of EFC, it's SAI, it's Student Aid Index. Now, the only thing that's kind of materially matters here is that now you can have a negative SAI. It used to be that the lowest your EFC could go was 0, but now it can go negative 1,500. That matters because it makes you eligible, if you fit into this bucket, for $1,500 more worth of need-based financial aid, Pell Grant, etc. if you are one of these families. So there is some material difference there. Excuse me. The questions, right? I kind of flagged at the top here that the form itself is getting a lot easier. On average, it depends, right? It could be, because depending on your family situation, you could have more or less questions. But on average, we're going from about 108 questions to about 36. So that's a big deal in the positive direction. This is some kind of again, kind of nerdy in the weeds stuff in terms of some of the specifics on the untaxed income. I'm not going to bother you guys with some of these details. If you want to have the slide deck or whatever, feel free to email me. But this stuff, I don't think these types of things you're going to be coaching up parents on or students or anything like that. But jump in if you don't think that's the case. This one is material. You know, it used to be that if you received child support and you reported that on the FAFSA, it was treated as untaxed income. So it had a significant impact on your financial aid eligibility. Since it was treated as untaxed income, that means they look at it more with more emphasis than just standard earned income, right? Because it's not taxed. They're not doing that anymore. Now they are treating it as an asset. And that in some ways, that's more than you or families need to know. The takeaway, the headline is basically you're not going to get punished for receiving child support anymore. It's not going to have a meaningful impact on your financial aid eligibility. That is the headline. You know, when it comes to that piece, again, if you want to nerd out a little bit, we have some specifics there on how much that can impact you. But again, for today, that the headline is child support's not going to hurt us anymore. Same deal, getting super granular here, but in theory, I don't think this is going to work out, have a big impact in practice. The income protection allowance is going up, which basically means, hey, we won't put as much emphasis on your income. That sounds better than it is. It's not going to have a material impact for most families. The asset protection allowance isn't changing at all, which again, basically just means that in short, families colleges are looking at any non-retirement savings you have. We are getting very little in the way of an asset protection allowance. Again, nothing material here. I think it's one of the big problem, or one of the many big problems in the formula itself, because you're not even kind of allowed to have any type of emergency fund without them saying a percentage of that should be used for college, right? We talked about the fact that, again, I think this is one of the big headlines this year. Now the custodial parent, it's not who the student lives with, it is who provides the most financial support to the student. Now, here's how we're coaching this, right? And it depends how on or off the record we are, essentially. But when we're on the record, I'll consider myself on the record today. We're going, if this is your family, okay, if this is your family and you are a split household family, if there's an opportunity to be strategic here, you want to take advantage of that, right? Most of the families that I've talked with that fit into this category somewhere, I'll ask them the question, well, who provides the most financial support to the student? And the answer is usually like, they kind of like pause and they're like, wow, they provide child support, but I pay for the mortgage. I pay for groceries. I'm paying for all activities, fees, whatever. Like, I don't know. It's probably pretty close. And we're like, that's perfect. Use it to your advantage. Be smart about this, because you want the parent with the lowest income, the lowest assets, the one that's going to make you eligible for the most financial aid to complete the FAFSA. Okay. And if it's close, you have till the rest of the year to see to it that parent provides the most financial support to the student. So this can be an opportunity if you're smart and strategic about it, which you want to be. Sometimes it's not close and there's not a gray area and there's not an option and all that. But if there is, which I would argue is most families that falls in this bucket, take advantage of it, use this change to your advantage, right? So that's how we're coaching it. And again, I'll get even more explicit kind of when I'm off the record. Okay, so I don't need to beat the dead horse there. I think we kind of got it. So those to me are the headlines, right? And this is just again, kind of reiterating the first ones. Depending on how we treat and take advantage of this divorce separated situation is going to have an impact. The multiples one that stinks for FAFSA, but most, and I'm going to dig in here in a second. Most CSS profile schools are going to keep the sibling discounts. Okay, many of them have yet to make a decision, but we know the quote unquote elite schools, their words, not mine, are going to keep the sibling discounts. Ivy League's keeping the sibling discounts, right? Emory's, Duke's, MIT's, Stanford's, we're keeping the sibling discounts. Chicago's, Northwestern's, Rice. These types of schools are keeping the sibling discounts. It's kind of be these in-between-ish institutional methodology schools that and a lot of them yet to make a decision, that we got to see what are they going to do. Are they going to keep the sibling discount? Is University of Miami, is Tulane, these types of schools? What's Davidson going to do? And again, a lot of them have yet to make a decision, and it's going to be monumental in terms of determining whether those schools are affordable or not. Okay. And we started a petition that actually had some momentum. We actually got in front of some decision makers. It's kind of a moot point now. We got up to 75,000 signatures, but to no avail. Usually I do this presentation with my partner in crime, Peg Keogh, and she loves this cute little slide here that she likes to say that the FAFSA is just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, hence the slide here. For many families, the CSS profile and schools that use the institutional methodology, then the FAFSA is really irrelevant, at these schools. So it's important to think about as we're talking about FAFSA, and FAFSA changes, at schools that require the CSS profile, that really doesn't matter. So what I want, let me, yeah, so a great question, right? How will they determine, who the custodial parent is? I'm going to stop sharing for a second here before I go share again. But how will they being the colleges, determine the custodial parent be if they file their taxes jointly? Well, the kind of broader question, I guess, might be here is like, how are colleges going to verify this? Or, here's the question, here's the answer. And we've talked, I don't know. I bet 100 colleges by now of all walks of life, at a minimum, several dozen, to ask them this question, how are you guys verifying this? So far, the universal answer is they're not. It is going to be impossible for us to verify this because first of all, how would they do this? And this is what they've said, right? We could say, well, we're going to get each parent's tax returns. But just because one parent makes a lot more money and has more savings and investments, that doesn't mean they're providing more support to the student. And many times that's not how it works out, right? So there is no way that that colleges are verifying this, and they're not going to try. So they're going to take families at face value. That's not an invitation to take advantage of the system, obviously, but that's the deal. And they're like, look, maybe we'll get smarter with this in subsequent years, but this year, with all the madness and changes and whatever, the least of our worries is going to figure out, is this family, whatever. So the onus is 100% on the families and to decide who in fact is the custodial parent, right? Or I shouldn't say that, sorry, custodial parent, the parent that provides the most financial support to the student. Okay. So a couple things that I'll kind of showcase and talk about, and please keep the questions coming because that's a great one. So this is our platform, okay, and it's College Aid Pro, our platform, and I think to me the easiest way to describe it is if you all use Naviance or Score or one of these platforms to help yourselves and families navigate the admissions process, we like to think of ourselves as the Naviance or Score of the financial aid and scholarship process, right? So every family has their own account and login. And then school counselors have visibility as well, if they want, right? So they answer a couple questions, right? They get dumped. This is kind of their home page or whatever, their dashboard. But what's staring them in front of the face is their SAIs, right? What's your SAI going to be after you hit submit on the FAFSA? The institutional SAI I talked about less, but that's essentially the SAI they get as the result of the CSS profile. And there's a range. Well, why is that? Well, most CSS profile schools look at home equity if you own your home, but they look at it to varying degrees. So that could be the reason for your range. Most institutional SAI schools, if you're a split household family, they're looking at both households. This is a divorced family, right? It's a family of four that has two households, right? So mom and dad don't live one. This is actually a family in my hometown in Beverly, Mass, where I live, just across the bridge here. But they also have a split household family, so that most of these institutional SAI schools are looking at both households, okay, and their income and assets, etc. So again, oftentimes this institutional SAI is higher. That's more than families or you guys or anybody needs to know. What I want families focused on is not, and school counselors for that matter, it's not the sticker price of colleges, is what are you going to actually pay? What are these schools going to cost me? Am I going to get scholarships? Am I going to get need-based financial aid, right? And then we want them thinking about peeking around the corner. Well, let me pause there because, again, this is a Massachusetts resident, and this is a perfect example. This is not a wonky case. Look at the $90,000 school at Amherst College is going to be more affordable than the in-state state school, okay? Which is a headline here. You know, we have these three schools, Amherst, BU, NYU, almost identical sticker prices, but we're paying a different amount at each of these schools. Why? NYU is not that generous with need-based financial aid. They also look at all your home equity. Amherst doesn't. They meet 100% of need. They meet it all in grants. They don't look at your home equity. BU somewhere in the middle. They look at your home equity, but not all of it, right? So the point is here is the actual college's business model matters so much in determining how much you will pay or not. Let the platform do the work for you. That's all baked into the algorithm. These are way more. I don't know if you guys saw our presentation from a few weeks ago, but we did an expose on colleges net price calculators, and it was pretty alarming. You know, they're just not reliable and accurate. So that's something that we pride ourselves on. And then we want families thinking about, okay, well, I get what it's going to cost me in year one, but what about over 4 years, right? What if I have siblings? What about inflation? And then what's it look like next to my budget? How much am I going to have to borrow if I graduate from the school? And this is something that we struggled with for so long, trying to get teenagers to understand what it means to borrow certain dollar amounts, and it's impossible. They don't know what it means to borrow 10,000 versus 30,000 versus 70,000. It's abstract. But what we found, a huge aha moment for us that's maybe like 2 years old now, is that we've said, forget about 70,000 versus 30,000 versus whatever. Here's what your first monthly payment's going to be. If you go here, your first monthly payment's going to be $814, right? We found that to be more impactful, because then they can understand, okay, that it's hard. I have a part-time job and it's hard. I have to work a lot of hours to make $814. And we found that is something that they actually can kind of grasp. So anyways, we want to help them give a crystal ball and look into the future, so they, to the extent that it's possible for a teenager, understand that what the commitment for what they are signing up for. Okay. And then we have every private scholarship in the country baked into here. Okay. So this is kind of your FastWeb, your Scholarly, or whatever on steroids, where they can filter based on their scenario. They can say, I am you know, here's my ethnicity, here's what I'm thinking of majoring in, and I'm a first-gen college student, and I live in Arkansas, and I want to be a nurse. What private scholarships make sense for me to apply to? Okay. There's line-by-line instructions through the FAFSA and CSS profile. So as students, parents, families are filling these forms out, they're designed where they can play, pause, and be a guide through this, from creating your FSA ID to hitting submit. Okay, we have this for IDOC as well after the CSS profile is submitted. And it's not just a line by line, there's an element of strategy baked in, right? Where we'll be like, stop what you're doing, get your hands off the keyboard, do not include your retirement accounts on the FAFSA, right? These types of things, these very common mistakes that are mission critical in terms of aid eligibility. Do not put your 529 account as a student asset. It is a parent asset, and this will cripple your financial aid eligibility, right? These types of things. You're a homeowner. This is how you need to value your house. Do not put what it says on Zillow. Okay. This part of the platform is really, really cool. It allows families to upload their financial aid award letters, and we translate them. Okay. Now, sometimes this doesn't behave with me when I'm sharing my screen, but let me try. So they will say, okay, I've been accepted to Boston University. And what they can do is they can take a picture of their financial aid award letter. And I think I have an example of Boston University. I do. Okay, they upload the file. They say translate offer letter. And again, bear with me if this takes a while, because sometimes it gets weird when I'm showing my screen. But this was another project we did. We hooked up with the Gates Foundation. This is incredibly robust technology, and I got to give their programmers a lot of credit. Brilliant, brilliant programmers. And usually it takes like 3 to 5 seconds. Okay, let me stop sharing. And oh, here we go. And then it'll break down, okay, you know, all the cost of attendance figures, the need-based versus the merit-based. But what it's doing is taking the noise and confusion, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second here, out of understanding these award letters. As part of this study we did with them last year, we found out there was 917 different ways that colleges presented financial aid award letters, right? It's freaking madness. So we took those 917 ways and presented them in one uniform way, so families understand what they're signing up for. And where we want them to start is to say, guys, I just want you focused on what your out-of-pocket cost is going to be before we start thinking about loans, work study, etc. That's step one. And then we can drill down on it and say, okay, you know, here's our broken down cost of attendance. Here's our need-based versus our merit versus our subsidized, unsubsidized, etc. But again, we've taken these 917 ways and allow them to compare apples to apples in one way. And again, this has been a huge benefit from financial aid. I'm sorry, for school counselors. The feedback we've gotten from you all this last year, the first year was live in terms of trying to help families understand this in way that it's quick and easy. And then we tell you, did you get a good deal, right? I always like to pick on Boston College. Amazing school, obviously, and they're in my backyard, so I can do it. But they're not alone here, right? I'm vilifying them specifically. They're not alone here. Part of their business model is to traditionally underaward families that are eligible for need-based financial aid $10,000 on average, unbeknownst to them, of course, right? But we flag it, right? We're like, hey, you have a very strong appeal case at Boston College. I know I'm showing BU here. Based on what they said they should give you and you actually got, we recommend that you appeal, right? So anyways, it hopefully gives you an idea of the platform. We're trying to provide resources for every pain point in the process. And then we do that with kind of accompanied with education, right? So now every family has their own platform, right? Their own access to a portal so they can understand how this works. And then what we do is we provide financial aid workshops throughout the every part of this process, right? I think traditionally we had done what most folks had done, which is we'll do one or two. The local financial aid officer will come out, or somebody from the state will come out to give one or two kind of catch-all presentations. But what we found is we can give a perfect presentation in October. Nobody's going to remember in March the difference between a subsidized and unsubsidized loan, right? So we've evolved to talking about with 6 inches in front of people's faces. We want them to join us when they're younger kids, but most people don't get engaged until junior, senior year, right? So we always invite everybody. They're always virtual, and everybody will get the recording and the deck who can't make it live. But right now we're talking about, here's how this whole thing works, everybody. Here's the FAFSA changes. We'll come back next month, do line by line through CSS profile. We'll come back in December, line by line through FAFSA. In January, we'll come back. Here's everything you need to know about financial aid scholarships. In March, here's how to read award letters. Here's how to appeal for more money. After May 1st, we'll say, okay, class 2024, you know where you're going. You know what it's going to cost. How are you going to pay for this thing? If you're a family that needs to borrow, should you do it through a PLUS loan, through Sallie Mae, through a state program? If you're a family that has resources, should you use 529 first, UGMA, or grandparents' money, right? So for every major part of this process, we want to provide education, and then we want them to have a tool that they can access. And then the folks that, and again, we can do this just for your school. You can invite them to do it at kind of a bigger presentations, whatever you want to do. We got the top experts in the world that actually give the presentations. It's always 2 of us. So whoever's not talking can be in the Q&A. And a great part about being virtual now is the ability where families can ask questions anonymously, right? Like, I'm going through a really hard divorce. What do I need to be thinking about? Or any number of things that I'm a first gen student. I'm undocumented, right? What do I need to be thinking about, right? And then again, I encourage you to, email me or get on my calendar to book a one-on-one time so I can learn more about your high school and explain more about us. But high level, many high schools that we partner with, there's zero budget, there's negative budget, whatever, right? For those high schools, we still provide the free education. Everybody has free access to the platform. But some features of the platform are ring fenced. You can only put 3 schools in there. You can't sort schools based on how who's going to give you the most in financial aid and scholarships. So, and if a parent wanted to upgrade to the full version, it's $149, right? So for high schools that don't have any budget, we do the education for free. Everybody has access to the free version of the platform. And if a parent wants to opt in, they can do so and pay $149. Now, all free and reduced lunch kids get it for free. We assume the cost of the $149. We underwrite that. We oftentimes will subsidize entire schools. We have a lot of schools that we say are college aid pro bono, our cute little name there, where any Title I schools, we will underwrite the entire platform for everybody in the whole school. So if that's you, we want to talk. And then for some schools that do have a budget, similar to like you do with Naviance or SCORE or whatever, they buy licenses for everybody, right? So nobody has to raise their hand and say, I'm free and reduced lunch. Nobody has to opt in and pay $149 if they wanted to upgrade the whole. The school will essentially pay for that. The unit economics are completely different. It starts as low as $2,000 a year, again, for schools that do have any budget to speak of. Yeah, I mean, look, the business owner strategies that we have is basically number one, don't be afraid to write zero. Most sole proprietors, if they don't show up for work tomorrow, there's no value to the business. Okay, the business, is zero. So you should not feel uncomfortable writing zero and be willing to have a conversation with schools. We welcome conversations with schools. We want to give them our side of the argument. If that feels too extreme and is just not accurate, we want to help them get to a very low number and think about things like not just your liabilities. Don't forget about the liabilities of your business, but if you actually sold it tomorrow, you wouldn't put that dollar amount in your pocket. Okay, you're going to pay taxes on that. You're going to pay fees, etc. So you have to think about the actual liquid amount of your business if you were to sell it tomorrow, and I promise it's lower than you think. So anyways, yeah, and so what I would say for anybody that wants to sign their school up in whatever capacity, webinars, etc., email me directly. I'm putting my email in here. I'll put my meeting link in here if you just want to get on my calendar. I just want to learn a little bit more about your school to get an idea of the best way to align with us, whether that's we do stuff just for your school or you just want to get some dates on the calendar where they can your families can attend, whatever events that we're doing anyways. But let's start there. And then usually, again, obviously every school is unique and your needs and wants are unique, but usually once I learn a little bit more, I can say, okay, this is probably the best way to leverage, everything that we have to offer. But unfortunately, I do have to run. The people out there are just dying to hear about these FAFSA changes, and I can't deny them that. So I got to get out to another group. But thank you so much for having me. First of all, I appreciated it. I will be for I don't know if you guys know. Do you know Darren Morgan? I've worked with the I think is it called the Arkansas Committee?
Arkansas Commitment. Yeah, I'm on the call actually.
Oh, awesome.
And
what's up, man? How you doing? Sorry.
hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
I thought you
man.
were gonna be here. Good to see you too. Good to see you too.
Yeah, and thank you. I know you have to run, but thank you guys for hopping on. So a little backstory. I actually met Matt back at SACAC in this past conference. And after hearing their workshop, the only question I had was how do we sign up? And they have been super generous, gave us tons of support, and our kids absolutely love it. And I think this is going to be a game changer, not just for Arkansas Commitment, but for all of Arkansas, which is why I wanted him to come on and talk about College Aid Pro and make sure they have a footprint out here in the state. So thank you so much for hopping on that.
No, I just want to echo that as well, Matt. I'm an IEC and I use College Aid Pro, and my families love it too. So thanks.
Oh yeah, no, I love hearing that. It's great. Yeah, no, and I mean the adoption's been awesome, Darren, from what we can tell, and seems like everybody's very engaged. They're using it, hopefully
for sure,
creating some opportunities they didn't know were there, and maybe making life a little bit easier on you guys, or maybe helping.
Definitely is. We don't have to have that argument anymore about out of state being cheaper. So thank you.
Wow, you're gonna have them. You're gonna have them. We're not part of it. There's no such thing as a silver bullet, but well, I'm glad. Look at and happy to help in any way, whether it's with SACAC or your particular organization, schools, etc. We want to be a resource for everybody. So, thanks everybody. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, thank you, Matt.
Aaron, good to see you, man. I'll be in touch.
All right, you too. Take care. And while I have the floor, I do want to thank our SACAC SAI chairs, rebekah.bailey, nicole.griffin, for hopping on and doing an amazing job putting this event together. This is no small feat, especially for first timers hopping on as a new member of the role. So thank you guys for hopping on and knocking it out of the park. I appreciate y'all. All right, and if nothing else, I'm gonna turn it back over to Nicole and Rebekah and let them conclude the meeting.
Thank you.
All right. Can you guys see me and Rebekah? All right.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. All right. So we just want to say thank you. Rebekah and I really appreciate you guys so much for joining. Thank you, Whitney. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Corey. Matt is gone, so we've already thanked him. And special thank you to Mr. Morgan for picking me and Rebecca to take on this task. We really, really appreciate you, State and Area Initiative Leadership. It means the world to us to be a part of such a huge vision. So thank you so much for the opportunity to serve. Rebecca, did you have anything?
No, I just wanted to say thank you. This has been a really, really good experience, and I'm looking forward to working with Nicole more and working with everybody else, and just, you know, looking forward for everything else that's coming down the line. So thanks so much.
And if you need us, our information is there. Rebecca, do you mind typing it in the chat? Our emails, and you can also contact us on the phone or whatever you need. Any questions, comments, or concerns, we are open to help. And we like to stay on time. It's now 10:56. I'll check the chat real quick and make sure we have that. Did anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns for us? Okay.
I guess not.
All right. Well, without further ado, again, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you all in the spring. Have a blessed
Thanks.
day.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care, y'all.
Thank you. You too.
We'll see y'all on the 29th at the drive-in workshop.
Sounds good. Bye, Whitney.
Sign us up. Stop sharing.